welcome back to Maypole Farm, and I've been busy-ish since you were last here. So about 20 grand's worth of contracting. That was a potato harvesting contract and a couple of cultivating contracts, and if I remember I will edit in the screenshots of those. Standing by the maize, and I don't think I've done a maize silaging field yet. I know. I think we need to go one more. I think we need to go 6 of 7. I feel like an utter noob at this game, to be honest. But I think we need to go to 6 of 7. Feel free to correct me in the comments if you're wrong. I fixed the weird running speed and jumping thing. Thank you, Cav. Seems Easy Dev Tools by default sticks on player speed and player jumping stuff. From the potato harvesting contract, we got a full trailer of potatoes, which is cool because that's going to help with feeding the animals. By animals I mean cows, so that's awesome. We could have had a tiny bit more, but I couldn't be bothered to do a trip backwards and forwards to the field that we harvested for like 400 litres, so we got a trailer full. But that was awesome. And today, and by today probably I mean tomorrow, we're going to be doing some baling, but up at the store, the bale wrapper is because we're going to sell it because there is a square bale wrapper in sales. Thanks for reminding me, Mark. So we're going to sell this guy. We're going to repair it because you get your money back on repairs generally. We're going to sell it for 10 grand. And we are basically going to spend, I need to, I was using store deliveries to get the contract stuff delivered to the field. So I'm just going to set a store deliveries point to the store. And we're going to pick up the square baler. So I still need to do the number plates. I know I am a lazy person. It's really not that. Two reasons. One of them is that when I'm on the game, I'm enjoying playing the game. I'm going to stick auto gears back on for a bit because we're probably not going to be in our tractors today. So gear change, auto. So I have had a look at the XML for the Fendt. Sorry, a little bit of a editing interrupt there for my mobile phone going off. I have had a look at the XML for the Fendt to see why it's so funky doing gear changes, and one of the reasons is that it's set up to have really slow manual gear changes compared to other vehicles. Now I'm assuming that's to add an element of realism, because we all know that realism is key, but it makes it really hard work. We need either a bit of weight over the front of the tractor. This was a problem bringing the other bale wrap up, or we need to wait. We're just going to see if we can send it and get this thing back to the farm. We have a problem. We do need to get... Sorry, folks. By folks, I mean those poor people waiting in their car. We do need to get some pallet forks. So I don't think the Volvo pallet forks are what we want, but there are some... Are these front-loaded pallet forks? Again, I'm going to go with no. That's not a front-loader connection. Or we get big bag. That's 700. I'm just thinking it's going to add 150 kilos on the front. That adds 250 kilos on the front. I'm going to get ourselves a set of pallet forks while we're here as well to get a bit of weight over the front wheels. We are getting charged delivery because I've got store deliveries set at the moment, which is, yep. No, didn't mean to open the bonnet. Oh, yeah. Anywho, let's see if we can recover the situation with an extra 250 kilos over the front wheels, shall we? Don't mind me, folks. Look at that. Problem solved. Physics in action. Where was I? Completely lost my train of thought. So, yeah. Anyway. Today's job, well, it's actually going to be the morning's job now we've picked this up, is the MOW contract has kicked in. So we are going to be trying out our first BALE contract in FS25. So yeah, that's cool. I wasn't going to bother showing you much of September because of the my assumption that I need to wait for one more growth state. That would have been vehicular homicide. Quite early here. Anywho, the caffeine has not soaked in yet. Yeah, we're going to have our first go at a MOW contract. And see what they're like. And I thought I would do it with you guys because I don't know if you guys have tried that mod out yet. It took a little while for those contracts to appear. Obviously, whether it just takes a while for them to come into the rotation of contracts, I don't know. I'm not sure why they don't instantly start popping up because it's code. It's not like they have to establish themselves on a map or anything like that. So, yeah. Anywho, that's what we're going to have a go at. But we're going to get back to the farm. We will... so I'm going to borrow the kit for that job. Partly because they come with the bale stackers, which is going to save me some brain power. And it's very, well, not very early. It's before work. So, clearly enough that I don't want to be bale stacking. I would like to get this job done and it not take abso-freaking-lutely ages. So I'm going to get this parked and I will see you on the morrow for some baling stuffs. So it is the next morning. I have remembered what I was rambling about, but we need to get ourselves an job first. So we've got hey, no, we're not using that setup. So we've got that one, which is making some silage. So that would get us some silage bales. Might not be a bad shout. That is a decent size field. I'm sure, and I'm sure Cav will correct me if I am wrong. I don't know, they were pretty sure. Yeah, I was going to say there were a string of grass fields there. There still are a string of grass fields up there. It's just not showing them. 63 is hay. 92 is hay. So I kind of like the idea of kicking off some silage because of the fermentation, and then I might do one silage contract with you guys, and then we might do a hay contract off camera because that gets us the basis of feed. And then because we'll get some excess, we get 12,000 off of that one, and if I do the bigger hay contract, we're going to get 9,000 off of that. So right, let's head up to field 45 because realism is key. We are going to do that. So misty mornings, radio DJ on a local radio station. Was she local radio? She might have been on the country music station that I picked up listening to when I was on a work trip. Yep, Misty Mornings. If that's not a fake name, I don't know what is. But yeah, what we'll do is, because clearly we're doing this for the pig farm, which is just there, we're going to suggest that said pig farmer has his equipment just about there. I'm just quickly going to stick on flight mode just to make sure. Yeah, that did take. Awesome. Flight mode off, and we are going to go in to here. We are going to borrow the items. There we go. Awesome. So we've only got the one tractor, which is a tad annoying because we can't multitask this job. Did we get a reverse drive, Ultra? Did we get reverse drive? We did not. It's not a massive problem. So what we might do is end up getting our fence up here once we're into the windrowing, because we could have someone windrow and we could bale at least, because this is a multi-step process. But we'll make a start with mowing. Actually, these are swathing mowers, aren't they? These are swathing mowers, so we don't really need to do that. We've just saved a step, which is kind of cool. Right. Brain engage, please. Steering assist, DOS headlands, go lines, cruise control deactivation, manual, because I always feel that it deactivates a tad early. Just a tad. We need to unfold the rear mowers. Not do that. No, not unfold the front one. Okay. No. B. Wide spreading. No. We want swath dropping, please. B. B for go. G is control V, and 3 for go, and H for help me, please, someone, and off we go into the mist. Yep. It's a misty morning here in Maypole. On Maypole. In Ireland. Words are hard. Yeah. So it's so good having real grass working contracts back. Whoever at Giants thought that one, change is good, was a good idea, is dumb. Apologies, I don't actually mean that, but you know what I mean. But genuinely, whoever thought that breaking up the grassworking contracts into bite-sized pieces is... I've got a theory there. I've got a theory. And it actually stacks up with my theory about how the direction of the game. In that, this is much more meant to be an arcade game aimed at younger people who want a quick experience, and the new grassworking contracts are just that. You know, it's very quick to go and wrap 3 bales. It's very quick, relatively speaking, to go bale one of their fields. It's relatively quick to go mow a field. Doesn't take very long, doesn't take much of an attention span. Yeah. Makes it down into nice little bite-sized pieces that don't require you to concentrate for very long. A theory. Now that's counter to the fact that something like a potato harvest or a root crop harvest, any of the root crop harvest takes freaking ages. But yeah, it's a theory, you know. Breaking down, because a big grasswork contract can take you a while, and I do feel like they've worked really hard to keep the game much more aimed at a casual player. And this is not meant to offend. It's just a statement of opinion. It feels much more aimed at the type of gameplay that is sat on the couch, sofa, because we're not from the US. Sat on the sofa with a controller in hand, for a short gameplay stint than something more involved. Now, I tend to play in an equivalent style. I tend to play a lot of the time sat in a reclining armchair with a computer in front of me. So, you know, but yeah, it kind of feels like that change is maybe aimed at taking a job that was quite involved, a multi-step process, you know, cut grass, maybe ted grass, bale grass, load grass, deliver grass, bales, into a very simple, quick process. I'd never really thought about it like that before as to why they might have done it. I'd seen back in the mists of time, you know, back in November, people talking about that it was done because you could make too much money out of them. And honestly, I don't think Giants care too much about that. Because Or if they do, they need to work harder at balancing other bits of the economy of the game, because some bits, you know, are... I haven't done as much analysis this time, but there's always bits of the economy in this game which are horrendously broken either way. So, yeah, and then they let you add in mods which break it significantly more, so they're not uber protective of the economy of the game. So I don't think it was that. You know. And they could have managed that by just changing the delivery percentage that was required, so you didn't end up keeping lots of bales. That's my coffee finished now, so no more drinking. Apologies if drinking noises were coming through. Yeah, I know. Anyway, I'm very glad to have them back. Thank you, clever modders, for making the game what it should be. As always, we are reliant on those clever people who do the quiet work for free. To make the game what it should be. I'm playing on a modded map, doing a modded job, and yeah, I don't know. I know Giants understand that they need modding to make the game viable, but some of the basics that they tend to rely so heavily on mods for is disappointing. And I don't know if anyone, you know, ever asked them why they made that game design decision to separate particularly these contracts out into 3. Because to me it seems like a very counterintuitive choice. They are I guess, and I'm stretching, I'm reaching now, not around, get your mind out of the gutter. I suppose you might be a farmer that mows your grass and pays someone to bale it. That's a possibility. You might but I feel that, you know, would you be a farmer that just paid someone to mow the grass? Oh no, someone will probably correct me in the comments, I'm certain. Would a farmer just pay someone to go and wrap 3 bales? Would that be cost effective? I guess if they've got 3 bales and they need them wrapping and they don't have a bale wrapper, they probably would. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We are very much into the I'm not sure category of things, so yeah. Anywho, I don't know whether to try getting Cosplay to wrap these bales, or whether that's going to go really badly. I was expecting to have to windrow and bale. We don't have to do that now, which is a bonus. I do need to make sure that I get the baler set on the correct size. But yeah, I think I will get the rest of the mowing done. And I will come back to you when we are baling. And not with the bucket kind of baling. Right, mowing done in the baling. Well, in the bale. I've got the baler on the back of the tractor now. Words are hard. So I've got the bale size set to 220 centimeters, which is the biggest the bale wrapper can do. Might end up adjusting that down as we get towards the end of the contract, although that probably causes issues with things like loading bales on the bale stacker, so we'll see. Not entirely sure how many bales we need to deliver. I have not checked that yet. So we will have to have a look, won't we? Yeah, we will. For now, we are just concentrating on getting stuff done. Obviously, if we were suitably equipped in the future, we could have used a baler with a silage additive tank, but we are not, because we're just using the contract equipment and it doesn't have a baler with a silage additive tank or silage additive provided, but that's absolutely fine. I guess the cool thing is, because this is a mod and the contract equipment is defined within the mod, you could go in and fettle things if you wanted. For example, you could probably adjust it. I'm not sure actually. That might be trickier. I'm not sure how easy it would be to, for example, set it to use things like modded balers, because using mods within mods is really hard. But you could adjust it to use other base game equipment. So, for example, I guess you could modify it to use something like this, so that you've got a combi jobby. It's a technical term, I know. Probably there are setups that include that. I don't know. We'll find out eventually, I guess. But as we progress, we will end up with enough kit that we don't need to borrow everything, and that'll be better. I remember when we were playing this in FS22, I'm sure the forest around here was a lot less dense. The trees have grown a lot, I believe. Sure, these fields were much more open in my day. But also, we did these contracts a lot. Back when there was a multiplayer aspect to the save game, once it was a little bit more developed. These 3 grass fields were mown and baled an awful lot. And they provided a wonderful excess of bales. And an awful lot of cash. Yep. I'm curious as to what kind of excess we're going to get in this case. Obviously, with this being a modded addition to the game, so it says we're going to get 9,000 or 12,000 odd litres, which is going to be how big are these bales? 6,000 litres. Yeah, so it's going to be like 2 bales worth in theory, which is not very much, but we'll see. We'll see how it all works out in the end. I have no idea. Which is why I wanted to try it. I've been wanting to try this mod out for ages. If you're a regular here, you will know that, because I spoke about it a lot on the Zalonka save, but I never got around to adding it to that. I never got around to just testing it standalone. So it's really cool now to just get to test it as part of this save game. And this is a nice size field to test it on because it's a pretty chunky field. So it'll be good to see if we are getting a nice amount of spare bales of it. Kind of my hope. It's kind of my hope. I know what sort of. I think 4 or 5 would be good. I'm not expecting like a whole trailer full or anything like that, but basically if we could get that, if we got like 4 or 5 spare bales off of the field of this, a few spare bales of hay off of a hay contract, I'd be comfortable to go and buy the first few cows. Only a few, because they will eat quite a lot in a month. But we could start the process. Once the soybeans are harvested, we can plant our own grass. That will then start to free up things. And obviously once we've got the corn chopped for silage. It might be that we end up, I was going to say stockpile, but as soon as we've got, I'm worried that we're not going to get a good stockpile of hay. And therefore whether we're going to be able to actually feed cows through the winter. It might be that we get the silage in the clamp, get the grass planted, and then speed through winter, and then in the spring when we get the first cut of hay, we then can get cows. I don't know, we'll see, or we can expand the herd of cows. We are in uncharted territory with the realistic livestock mod and with feeding, which is not base game FS25. But it will be fun. Clearly you can, I assume, tell that I am much more motivated and interested in playing the game because there's farm sim videos. And I'm not struggling to make farm sim videos, which is really good. It's really good. It's been interesting actually reading the comments of how many of you have been in a similar position. Yeah. Interesting how many of you have also found this game not as engaging as previous versions. It's a shame really, because I think it has the bones of being a good game. I think part of it for me, and it's something that I've commented on, is I feel, my opinion, that Giants put the development effort into developing features for a different audience to me and those of you that are watching me. We are not interested in tornadoes and weather disasters and, to a lesser extent, deformable terrain, which is, an incomplete implementation, and we didn't want Mud Runner or Snow Runner in our farming game anyway. So yeah, and I think probably that took a lot of development effort. We got a half-assed go at grazing, and then again modders. So if you play on Marnox's map, grazing will give 100% feed benefit because he's modified it so that grass gives cows 100% health. And I think it was really interesting when Giants did the update, which included fixing grazing, and so many people thought that meant that grazing would give cows 100% health, and it was like, no, because Giants don't consider that behavior broken. For Giants, that's correct behavior. Yeah. Anywho, slowly the game will get better as modders bring in the things that we all love. I mean, Arrow is doing insane things for the game. So, yeah. It will get better, folks. It will get better. So I was chatting to one of my friends that I have made through playing FS about the fact that in previous iterations of the game, once I had I've got this save working the way I want it, I would have then instantly made videos on how do you do what I've done. But I don't these days. And some of you might be a bit frustrated by that. I get that. Because you might want to play like this. The reason I haven't is that dealing with the people who are not capable of doing the changes that you need to do, but want to be able to play like this is a pain in the arse. So, because you have to edit the map, you have to edit the realistic livestock mod as well, and then you have to keep all that up to date. So if you, let's say Cav updated the map, you would then have to go back and make the changes again. And there's changes in a couple of places. If Arrow updates the realistic livestock mod, you have to go back in and have to be careful about making sure you save all that kind of stuff. And I just can't be bothered these days to deal with that kind of stuff. So the changes are not hugely complex if you understand what you're doing. If you have followed in the past all my Maize Plus tutorials about how you edit feeding and all that kind of thing, they're not too difficult, but they're a step above that because you've got to edit that into the map yourself. And so yeah, I just didn't. And so Maypole is a nice map to do it into because it's got some features in the map that make it easy to edit into, because you have to edit some features which are just to do with the feeding, but other maps might not have that, and so then it gets more complex. And so yeah, it's like doing it for this map was easy-ish, but then it's like, well, if you make a video on it and then someone says, well, I'm playing on this map and it doesn't have the file, how do I do that? And I just can't be asked these days, I just can't be asked. I don't have the spare mental energy to deal with it. That's a better explanation, and can't be asked. There is not enough spare mental energy to deal with the things that come from making those videos. Unfortunately, because I'm sure a bunch of you would really enjoy it, but anyway, Yeah, it is the reality of life at the moment, I'm afraid, folks. My brain is operating at below peak capacity. And has been for quite a while. What else have we made? Wow, a decent amount. A decent amount. I think expecting maybe 4 out of this is not unrealistic. 10%. Guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. I should have brought the Fent over. I'm going to say with the bale trailer, but then we have the fun of having to load them. Having something like either another tractor with the ability to do bale loading would be good, I guess. Not going to scrub around trying to find 60% of a bale because that's quite a lot. Yeah, having another bale at a tractor with the front a capable, not a yard tractor basically, would be good. Bosh. Kind of feels like this setup should have come with a second tractor. Given that we have swathing mowers, I kind of feel like it shouldn't have had the swather and it should have had swathing mowers. But that's just not. Given that it has swathing mowers, it shouldn't have come with the merger. It should have come with the second small tractor. That's just me. Now the slightly tedious process of wrapping 40 odd bales. Which will take a little while. So I'm going to get this done. I'll be back. Almost done. Been a pretty seamless process. I've been listening to a podcast while I do this. Well, the intro to a podcast, because it didn't take as long as I thought it would. So we've just got to deliver these now, and we've got to deliver them to the animal dealer. Thankfully, there is a little bit of a shortcut to get us linked across to the animal dealer, so we can cut between some fields, which is kind of cool. I like that. Yeah, it's not been too bad, and we will then see. I guess I could look in better contracts. We need to deliver 183,600 litres. What's that divided by 6,000? Someone quick, or let me know. We'll do a few loads and then we'll work it out, I think. Bit of backwards and forwards to do across the map next. But at least we have the Arcusin bale stacker. So does make things a little easier. Not quite as good as the Anderson round bale one, where you can get a lot more volume of fill on there. A little bit of fog just sat in that dip there. It's kind of cool. Kind of like that. That is a nice touch from the new weather effects, I guess, in that it does sit in the hollow. They did something right, they being giants. Right, drop that, fold that, fold quicker, and let's grab the bale stacker. haven't used this yet in FS25. Don't believe. And yeah, we've got a fair bit of karting to do, so I mean, it's a slight shame that we can only move 12 at a time. Anyway, how do we put you into working mode? There we go. Right. Load her up. Go. And we'll see just what it's like and what we need to deliver. Come on. Is it 12 or is it 60? Quite right for 12. I'm not sure how many this takes now. We'll find out, I guess. We'll keep going until it is full. How about that? That's an answer, isn't it? Well, maybe it's 80. It's 60. Maybe I have no clue. Maybe I'm driving very randomly around the field. Yes, I know I could look, but we'll find out. Maybe it's 40. Crash. Well, 14 maybe. What bales to clear? In towards the exit. 40 it is. So yeah. We need to head through the farm. What position? Positions, please. Sort of know my way. Sort of. Famous last words and all that. Apart from getting through the yard. Getting through the yard is probably where I'm most likely to get lost. Way out to the road, yep. Cool. Let's just send it. And then we go down to... Yep. The right direction, I believe. We're going to see if we can drive there on instinct and sense of direction. Put the old beacons on, shall we? No, actually we won't, just in case anyone... I know a left of the flashing thing on the map, but just in case anyone's a little bit photosensitive, we won't have the beacons on. We go down to the junction here, we throw a left on the right hand turn here on the edge of the field. I kind of like this will shock a bunch of you, and I like the familiarity of the map. I know, absolute fucking shocker. Going to And the spot, because we've never been to this delivery point before. So we get it to the right place. Just here. Awesome sauce. Right. Unload. That'll tell us how much we have to provide. Why? Come on. Why doesn't that want to deliver? Oh. Ignore the cheaty strength for a moment, folks. Feels like the trigger point is a little bit higher. Doesn't seem to like the Arcusin for delivery. Let's go. Get that going down. Let's try and finish. Go 44% off of one load, so one more full load, and then we'll work out what the remaining is. But I will be back. I'm back. I worked out how much I had to deliver after the first load, because we delivered just under half, and it was 16 and a bit bales. So I have already delivered 7 bales, because it seemed silly to deliver 14 and then 3. So we're going to now deliver 10 bales, and that should complete the contract. And that leaves us with a decent number of bales, maybe more than a full load, in fact, which is kind of awesome. So, yeah, I'm surprised by how many spare bales we seem to have got off of here. I'm actually really pleased, because that's going to give us a substantial amount of food. Very, very pleased. I also had to save the game and leave, which was a bit of a concern, because, you know, grass contracts and saving and leaving was always an issue in previous versions of the game, but it was fine. So the other benefit of moving partial loads is the tractor is not quite so overloading and not struggling quite so much. But this is quite heavy when it's fully laden, so yeah. Again, multiple tractors would be nice, because then I could have had auto drive doing some of the delivery work earlier, or yeah. Another quick pause, another quick complete loss of train of thought, and let's see if we can finish this contract. Then we've got to go and collect that insane amount of excess bales, which I'm really, really pleased about. So yeah, let's get these delivered. We will use super strength again to help encourage their delivery. I'm not sure what's up with this sell point not liking the Arcusin. It might do better with a normal bale trailer, I guess. Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. Contract finished. Gonna get rid of these bits, seeing as we're up here, and I'm guessing these are... They got much in them. Yeah. Come on. Go. There we go. Just left in that one. 600 litres. There we go. Right, let's not move the tractor. Let's turn super strength off now, in fact. Because we can go get the rest of the bales. And I have no idea how many are in that field. Quite a lot, because we delivered 14, 28, 31. So maybe another 10. More than I expected, which is awesome. So really, really like how this mod is set up. Brings back that classic contract to the game. Let's get ourselves back to the field and get all these picked up. But I think we are actually going to almost fill the stacker, which is really good, because that's what, 60, another like 80,000 litres worth of silage. If I can do a hay contract and get something similar, we will be in a great position for getting the cows. So I'm going to do the hay contract off camera, with what's left of the day in September. You'll see the result of that, obviously, in the next video. And hopefully that means in the next video we can get cows, because we've got straw. I did like the suggestion. I'm going to do that of adding back the bale that we lost. But we've got some straw, not much. We might need to do some more contracts that are going to maybe generate some straw. But we've got some straw. If we don't have enough straw, I'm not massively worried, but we've got some straw. We won't feed straw. We've got 13 silage bales. If we can get some hay, then yeah, if we could get one of these big fields as a hay contract, then we would be in a really good spot for feeding the animals. And I think it's fair, you know, we've done a decent amount of work. But yes, we're going to get paid, but let's get these back to the farm. So I guess we got nearly a third. Maybe that's a bit excessive, but I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue. Because we need it at this point. And we can manage that by not doing too many, you know. Probably as I get busier, I won't do too many more. So, yeah. It will all even itself out. That's been a pretty cool little experiment, piece of work. You know, if you were on the fence about whether you should add that mod in, you should. I didn't have to do anything to the map to get it to work. It just took a little bit of time for those contracts to appear. And they pay okay. They are pretty generous with the excess baleage. And yeah, pretty awesome. So we're going to get £8,700 in cash monies, but more importantly, the 70 odd thousand litres of feed, which is worth way more at this point. Getting it into the yard is going to be fun. I'm going to say I'll skip that bit, but you might want to watch, I guess. See if we can manage it. And I guess long term, if we could buy the forest, we'd be minted. But I quite like having the forest there. It gives quite a nice backdrop, so no problem. Loads of room. And we stack those up in the corner back there. Pretty good spot for them. Okay. There we go, folks. Magically, that can disappear. Bosh. We've got lots of silage. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, click the like button, and I'll see you next time.